Welcome back. We're looking at tips for restarting, and here's a tip. Our free will can keep us in Egypt. Our free will can keep us in Egypt. And this is a tip for Pharaoh. Eventually, you'll run out of grace. You'll run out of runway. Moses replied, just as you say, I'll never appear before you again. Now, Pharaoh did summons him again, but to tell him to get out of the country. And we can have a stubborn refusal to see what God is doing. And we can be determined to stick to the old way of doing things. Remember, this is a season in the world in which there's an opportunity for a divine reset, where there's an opportunity for God to say, okay, change things up, Brett. The way you might have been doing stuff is not the way I want you to do it going forward. We can get stuck in old ways of worship, where we worship, with whom we worship. We can get stuck with false gods. We can get stuck in a flawed economic system. But God says, Moses says to Pharaoh actually, just as you say. And so our free will can keep us in Egypt. God's not going to force us to leave. So we have a responsibility to make decisions that move ourselves in the right direction. We have to ask ourselves at a gut level whether we're enamored with, perhaps even in love with, the systems of the world, the way they work, the things that have fed us, the things that have closed us, the things that have been part of our economic model. Or are we willing to be people who will go through the desert, go through a stripping down, a rewiring, so that we're equipped to live in the promised world, in the promised land? So, eventually the enemy will run out of runway. But let's not take it for granted that we are going to move to the place God wants us to move. Because if we're determined to stay, He will let us stay. How do you want to come out of this crisis? Do you want to come out differently positioned? Do you want to come out differently equipped? Or have you just taken a small rest and you just want to go back to business as usual? God might be happy for you to do business as usual if that business was what He wanted you to do. He might be content for you to stay in your corporate job, your government job, your education job, because that's exactly where He has you, and He has you there on assignment. Make sure, however, that as you go forward, you've taken the time to say, God, is this the way you want things to be? Is this the road that you're going to give me the grace to travel? Let's not lose this opportunity, because if we don't even ask the question, by default the answer is we stay where we are. Ask the right questions. It's certainly worth your time.